The views and opinions expressed on this station do not reflect the owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Friday, the 15th day of January, 2021. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, and Lindo's. I'm Jamal Hartman, along with Carla Zool and Jackie Lambert. Thanks for making us part of your daily routine. If you haven't, well, just share it online, start a watch party, retweet it, get the conversation out there to your network. Look, engage with us, like us. We want to communicate with you. Anyway, last show of the week, we have Antonia Holder. She's stopping by to discuss Mothers and Daughters in Power. Pretty cool venture. It's daily for you today. So Jackie and Carla will
smash it. He got something stuck in his throat. We will smash it.
I was thinking of something diplomatic. I was trying to be very nice because Jackie, actually, Carla started the week off really badly, and then she.
Well, we always finish strong.
Well. Yes, that's where I was going with this.
I've been killing it though, Jack. From Wednesday on, I've been killing it. So
yeah, so I think
we got this, babe.
Yeah, you got. Well, you mean we got?
As I said last week, I am the good luck charm. We are going to smash it.
Teamwork.
Hold on, ain't no teamwork.
PG style. PG style.
You heard my vocals? Smash it.
Wow, you were watching Last Call yesterday, huh? Trying to get in that background vocal stuff.
I think I'm good. I think I'm gonna be a backup singer.
Oh, so what are you gonna? Okay, what was Diana Ross's backup singers called? What were they called? The
Supremes.
Are you guys gonna be like the version of the Supremes or something?
I'm gonna be Diana Ross.
Oh. Okay.
Somehow I'm gonna like slide across the front with the mic in my hands on my knees and be like, praise him.
Oh,
I was not expecting that lyric from you. Sprinkle some of that holy water on her, Jamal.
I am as holy as it comes. I need better friends.
Pray for them.
I am the good one. That's all.
Pray for them, folks. They're getting out of hand this morning. I don't know what's going on. But going into a weekend, they need to be talking like this and thinking like this because you know how out of control they can be, right? Good one. Carl over there talking about, oh, I'm the good one. Well, I don't know. I will repeat one more time. Go check our track records. It's only one good one of the three.
Me.
Huh?
Me.
Oh, okay.
I'm the youngest. I'm the most innocent.
And I'm the
only.
Oh, wow.
He's so lonely.
Jack is really on one today.
For somebody. Okay, come on, Jack. Let's focus.
Oh, okay. So look, enough of this singing stuff. I mean, I've been distracted. My ears are going to be ringing and banging me the rest of the weekend. So let's get into it. We have Antonio coming up, which is really, I'm looking forward to that conversation. Should be a good one, continuing on what we had to the back end of 2020. So if you haven't already, make sure you share the link, start a watch party, get people ready to watch and engage with Antonia when she comes on. Before we get there, and we're going to talk about tipping today, right? And I want to share a story with you guys. So you would say Bermudians take trips a lot. I wouldn't say Bermudians are travelers, but Bermudians take a lot of trips, right? You would,
right.
Mm-hmm. A little hop here and there.
Yeah, a little hop to New York, Atlanta, whatnot, right? And growing up, and I'm speaking from experience, would you both agree that Bermudians are relatively bad tippers? Like, don't generally know how to culturally tip?
I used to think that until I moved to the UK.
How about you, Jack?
No.
I used to think that as well, but my experience wasn't with like the UK. Mine was with Americans.
Well, I'm going to share a couple of stories real quickly, and I'll tell you where I think Bermudians from a whole, and this is from working in tourism, would do well for more etiquette when it comes to tipping. So there was a guy that worked in tourism, right? He worked in tourism, and you would think that he knew the rules of tipping etiquette. And he shared on Facebook one time about how he caught, he caught a cab, and the cab driver pretty much, asked him for a tip. And he must have, gave him a slight tip. And so obviously, culturally, one of the things you learn as you become a traveler is that culture, you have to learn the cultures of those places. So you don't just, if you're used to tipping just whatever in Bermuda, which might be $5 here and there, well, know that like when you go to the US, it's culturally correct 15 to 20%, right? Well, the gentleman must have asked for the 20%. Guy's like, oh, what do you mean asking me for it? I gave you $2. That's a slight one. And you expected this person to know better because they, worked in tourism. But here's the kicker, the one that really shocked me. And I wouldn't say embarrassed me because I don't think much can embarrass me. I was just shocked. Bunch of Bermudians, we went to dinner at, what's those restaurants called where you sit around, it's like Japanese, and you sit around and they cook it in front of you.
The hibachi, the hot grill type of thing.
Hibachi.
Yeah.
We went to a hibachi restaurant, right? And, it came time to pay. And one person that was sitting with us legit just paid and like said, you can keep the change. So the woman came back. We all paid separately. The woman came back and said, oh, you didn't include tip. Now, as a Bermudian, it's just like, how disrespectful is it to ask for tip, right?
I agree.
And so, but again, culturally, you should be tipping, and that's culturally they're within their right to ask for a tip. Culturally, in Bermuda, it might be like, okay, who are you? But culturally, you have to. When you're in Rome, you do as the Romans. You don't take your culture and try to implement it in other places. When you go into another culture, you have to understand and pretty much adapt and adjust to what's culturally appropriate there. And so she literally just left 10%, and me and others had to tell her like, yo, like. When people are doing you a service, it may not be in law or mandatory, but when you come, you have to understand culturally 15 to 20%. Now, when we were on our flight to South Africa, believe it or not, they actually had a video showing us this is what tipping's like here. This is what tipping's like in South Africa. South Africa, 10 to 15% was all right. The US is 15 to 20. In Bermuda, because gratuities are included so many places, Bermudians have been just used to, oh, here's a couple dollars on top. No, I'm going to bring it home to my own family. Graduated, how families travel in packs. Bill came up to $400. No, the hell, you're not going to leave $10 for that person on a $400 check.
No, I agree. I totally agree.
And so I just think it's important. I came across this because the U.S. is it was something, and I'll share the article on the dailyhour.com later on the Daily Hour Facebook pages. But we have to learn that we cannot take our culture and just implement it wherever we go. You have to learn and understand cultures as you go into these spaces. So if someone comes to you and says, "Where is my tip?" It's not they're absolutely correct if you're in their space and you're in their culture. But don't. We have to do better. And so when I read these things online, and from a travel perspective, when you're in the travel industry, it's almost like, this is why I say it's a difference between traveling and taking trips. It's a huge difference. Now, let me say, this is why I don't consider myself a traveler. This is why I don't necessarily go into, spaces like, for instance, I went to a country when I was much younger where they spoke a different language. I never want to go back again because my ignorance at the time was like, why the heck can't they understand me if they're in customer service? Well, we can't go to places and expect them to adapt to us. That's not how this works. And that comes with everything, including tipping. Have I made myself clear with this lecture this morning?
Did you see the Twitter video? Well, it was on Twitter where the lady it was a food delivery person, and she went to the ring and she asked the guy to come downstairs, and he was like, "For what? Just leave the food to the door." And she said, "I drove 40 minutes and you didn't leave a big enough tip." And he was like, "I left you an $8 tip." He said $8, right? And she said, "But I drove that far and I want more." And he said, "But I gave you $8." And it wasn't a big bag because you could see the bag through the camera, unless he had like girl standard sushi or something. And she said, "Well, if you don't bring it, I'm taking the food back." And she took it back. It's like,
Really?
okay. But in the UK, the tipping expectation is dismal, almost embarrassing. So, as you know, I was a bartender out here, and they had to teach me the culture. And so they were like, "Oh, if you serve someone and they say, 'and your own,' it's 20p. 20p is the equivalent of about maybe 50 cents, depending on what day it is, right?" So if they give you more than 20p, they expect for you to jump over hoops. So coming from a Bermuda culture, it was like, what? So literally you'd have like a jar full of 20p's. And if you made maybe 3 pounds, like some other people felt they were balling. Now on the flip side, as a consumer, when I go to restaurants, I always look to see if grats are included. And in the UK, most times they're not. And if you give a card, what they tend to do is even close the card off before you can add a tip. And I'm like, "Hey, I wanted to tip you." And they're like, "No, it's okay." And it blows my mind. So if I have cash, I'll give them extra. And I always calculate. So I always do about 15%. But I still think the consumer should be considerate. I do think it's cringy for someone to say, "Where's my tip?" I do. But I do think that the consumer should be conscious to tip them.
I mean, I don't take offense if somebody's just like, "Where's my tip?" Because depending on the culture, they may think, "Oh, they forgot to tip." Because there's been times where I think that I've put enough in, or whatever, and I'm like, "Oh my God, I forgot to leave the tip." And I've gone back to the restaurant and been like, "The other day I was here, I forgot to tip you. Here's some change." And like you said, Jamal, depending on where you are, I was in India and we were traveling for Bermuda, so it was Commonwealth Games, and we had our own personal assistant. And whenever we went somewhere, if she did anything for me, I'll give her a little bit of change here and there, just to be like, thank you, because I didn't speak the language. So she's going above and beyond, and she's taking time out of her typical day to assist us. And so depending on where I am, I try.
But you know what I find embarrassing when you're with someone, and I've done this where someone, like, you use a $400 bill, but say the bill's like even $50, and they'll tip $1. And I'll be like, that's disrespectful. If you're gonna tip them $1, don't tip them at all. And if I'll even top up their tip, because being in the service industry, like, that's just so disrespectful. If you're gonna do something like, or people that leave jingles, unless it's pound coins, for example, it drives me insane. Don't give them a 30p tip.
Well, I want to transition to right now. A lot of people are not eating in restaurants, right? Let's use restaurants, because there's so many ways to tip. Like barbershop now and beauty salons. There's so many different standards. Like the food is traditional 15 to 20% in the US, right? Then you have barbers. Like, what's normal to tip a barber or a hairstylist? What is there a percent, or is there a number? For me, for instance, my haircuts are $25. Usually I would just tip $5. It'll be $30. Since the pandemic, my wife's watching, I shouldn't say this. But anyway, since the pandemic, I've been tipping my barber $15. So $25 haircut and giving him $40. Because at the end of the day, they were shut down for a few months, right? And then they don't have like when I go to the barbershop now, it's no one there. Like, they don't have the same traffic flow. So for me, it's about, look, this person's doing a service in an industry where they're trying to feed their family. They don't have, a commission or anything. So that's just been my honor, like, to say, you know what? I've been blessed. I've been lucky to remain employed and have income. So this is what I'm doing. The past 2 days, I've been going to get my guacamole, right? Yes, guacamole, Carla, for lunch. And so when I've been paying, and my juice.
And what else?
And when I pay, the guy, I'll share my lunch with you all today.
Okay.
I'm going to share. I'm going to share some pictures with you. But when I pay, I always tip. And the guys, Wednesday, "Oh, you don't have to tip me." And I'm like, "No, it's all good, bro. Like, whatever." So yesterday he remembered me, even though my mask is on. I'm easily to pick out because I'm black. So he says, "Oh, welcome back." Right? It could be my eyes, but he said, "Welcome back." And I tipped again. He said, "Thank you so much for your tips." And I say that because at the end of the day, these folks, and I want to say talent or someone just put it up about what they make traditionally. Traditionally make me their pay is not being raised, even though there's a recession happening, right? I think wait staff in the U.S. are paid less minimum wage as the expectation instead is to leave a gratuity. So it's tough for them, and I think we have to put ourselves in that situation to kind of understand. And even if it's for us a little above 20%. I got to tell this story before we move on. So I got in trouble on our honeymoon, and we were at a restaurant in South Africa, in Johannesburg. And so I tipped like I was in the US. Like I said, it's 10 to 15%, not the, traditional 20% and 15 to 20%, whatever in the US. And I must have left the big tip. And as we were walking on the street away from the restaurant, lady ran after me to thank me. And my wife had originally said, "Why are you leaving so much?" "Oh, if that's what I'll do in the US, this is what I'm going to do here. I'm not going to do it just because." And all right, goes, "Okay, big baller." And when she ran after me,
I was thinking.
when she ran after me to thank me, that's when I really realized not that I had done something exceptional, but that I had done the right thing.
How much it meant to her.
More people done that, like do what you would do at home in terms of, show that same appreciation for these folks. That's my point. Show that
I tip the Uber guy when he brings food or the Good Eats or whoever. I never add it on the card. I always give it to them because sometimes they just want to put that cash in their pocket. They might need to get gas or something. They may not get that tip on the bill for another week when they get paid. So I try to always give cash to delivery drivers.
I do it with my gas attendant. So whenever I get gas, if I always try and keep like a few dollars of change in my bike. So when I get gas, if I get a fill up, I'll say $5 and I'll give them $7. And it almost works out for me every time because I'm like, I only have $2 for gas in my bike today. I left my card. And they're like, "You know what? You always tip me. Here you go." And then even when I go to restaurants, I try to tip between $10 to $20. If it's a group of us, I'll be like, "All right, everybody throw in $5." And people be like, "Yup, throw in $5," because I've been on both sides of the service industry. I've been on wait staff and I've been to the restaurants. So I'll be like, "You know how hard it is? We're going to go inside, deal with you and all your changes, make sure everything's right." This is a lot of work. Like, even if they're getting paid $10 an hour, that's not enough to offset all the work that they're doing and the hours that they put in. They're doing 7 hours a day and they're making $100 a shift or $150 a shift. So get the tips up so that they're making a good amount of money.
You heard it, folks.
You want to eat?
This is the life.
You never know what it can do. It could pay the bill.
We have a lot of comments to share. Guys, we have to go. We have a guest. Watch the clock.
You started it.
All right. Yeah. No, see, I got you the juice. I got you the juice. But we have to continue this conversation because there's so much going on. But come on, we got Antonia, and she's going to bring some good stuff to us. Let's go through some comments before we go to the news. We're a bit behind. Deborah Leo Joe Bell says many in hospitality are very dependent on and live in Bermuda because their wages are so minimum. It's a significant supplement. Sean Smith, Carla.
When I was a captain at Elbow Beach, my work buddy, I was earning about $3 and some change plus 10% grats, managing about 30 staff in 3 different departments.
Wow. What year was that? Charlotte Fox.
In the 90s.
Jackie, Charlotte Fox.
I always tip my hairdresser $10 and the shampoo girl $5. Same. I do 10 and 10.
All right, so my $15 ain't bad. Rick Olson says I've always found Bermudians to be very good tippers, especially with those with a hospitality background. Mia Hartman says it happens in the grocery stores here too. Pennies I've seen. No way. Come on, don't tell me that. Sahima, Carla.
I'm always topping up the tip, especially when I go out with others that don't tip well. It's embarrassing when people are cheap with their tips. I agree, Seema.
Dr. Seaman says most places include a tip, if not 20%. My grocery packer gets $2 and a conversation. I hate that I wonder what that conversation is. You better come to church. I know it. All right, look, we're behind. I want to say this: 20%. That's one thing Bermuda's good at. I think most places in Bermuda. I think Switzerland was one of the only places that didn't include gratuity unless it was a group of 6.
Parties.
All right, let's go to the news break, and then we'll be back with Antonia Holder. Stick with us, folks. We have a lot to discuss today.
The Bermuda Police Service wishes to once again advise the public not to provide personal details in response to requests sent via email for unknown entities. These requests are usually linked to advisories informing the recipients that they have come into significant sums of money, and all that is required for them to collect those funds is to provide personal information, as is the case with the two most recent email scams being circulated locally. Superintendent Sean Phil Lamont said the purpose of these scams is usually identity theft. The advice is to not respond to these emails and immediately delete them. Do not open any attachments or links. Block the sender to stop any further messages from being received. Attendees at ongoing Bermuda Public School open house events are now required to register online as part of strengthened security protocols. Due to incidents at two of the events, Commissioner of Education Kalmar Riches has decided to institute a registration requirement. Meeting hosts will check against the registrations before admitting persons into the open house events. Participants will also be required to be showing their cameras, showing their live face, and displaying their full names. Open house meetings begin promptly at the advertised time, and participants are advised to arrive in the online waiting rooms at least 15 minutes early to allow implementation of administrative and security protocols. The Royal Gazette reporting a man who admitted hitting his 14-year-old daughter avoided jail time after he promised to change his behavior. Senior Magistrate Juan Wolf sentenced the 33-year-old man, who cannot be named for legal reasons, to a year-long suspended prison sentence for both counts of an assault that led to bodily harm and the mistreatment of a child. He reminded the man on Tuesday that there is never a good reason to mistreat a child. You're supposed to protect her, Mr. Wolf said, not be the one who she's to be protected from. Red, ripe, juicy strawberries, churned and frozen with some fresh cream, dairy-free, of course, for you, Jamal, and a bit of sugar is all that is needed to make delicious strawberry ice cream. And as it's Strawberry Ice Cream Day, you don't need to be named Ben or Jerry to celebrate. Everyone can enjoy a bowlful. Celebrate today with a trip to the ice cream parlor or to the grocery store and say a berry hello to the sweet strawberry ice cream. Turning to weather, Bermuda is expected to see a high today of 70. There'll be a high of 71 in Tampa, Florida, and a high of 39 in London, UK. It's Friday, so tune in to the full100radio.com from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Bermuda time for the office workout with Juggle and Jason. That's your daily hour news break.
Strawberries and cream. Why did she smile the way she did? Like, why did she have to make it seem like? I mean, can we keep it PG for one episode, Jackie?
I was giggling because I said dairy free for you. I always think about you when I see these things. So that's what made me smile. Not the strawberries, the dairy free, so you can indulge.
Let's take a break. Come back with our guest for the day, because Carla's just that God, I tell you.
Good day, Medical House Doris speaking. Can I help you?
Medical House is Bermuda's leading one-stop shop for healthcare. Bermuda's top doctors, dentists, care homes, and the hospital choose Medical House for a wide range of products.
Anything that we ask them to do, they come through.
These same professional quality products are available to you for home healthcare.
If we can use them, we definitely do so.
Medical House is best known for its uniforms and footwear. It also has restaurant uniforms that stand up to even the toughest shifts. If you're on your feet all day, Medical House has comfortable and stylish shoes that are also durable and easy to clean. Everyone needs some help cleaning up, and Medical House has got it. Leading-edge janitorial, facility, and maintenance supplies are all here. Medical House is on Millreach Lane in Pembroke, where there's private parking right outside the door. Call or visit Medical House today.
We're spotlighting a food producer whose products are made with real wholesome ingredients, such as the highest grade farm-grown vegetables and certified organic free-range livestock with no artificial ingredients or preservatives, and no compromising on the painstaking quality control. Imagine Foods believe that higher quality ingredients, meeting high standards of purity, yield greater nutritional advantages and a more satisfying flavor. This month, we're featuring Imagine Foods organic roasted turkey, vegetable wild mushroom, and savory beef gravy. Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
All right, welcome back to the big show, brought to you by Medical Halls, One Communications, Lindo's, and our friends over there at Channel 82, where you can also watch this and many other locally produced programs. If you have One Communications cable, it's Carla Zool over there, Jackie Lambert there, and I'm Jamel Hartman. And let's bring in our guest for the day, Antonia Holder. Good morning and welcome to the crazy place.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Good
morning.
go ahead.
She knows my crazy there, hey.
So, Antonia, I absolutely love what you're doing with the Hula Hoop Fusion and other events that you're hosting for moms and daughters. Can you tell us what sparked this vision to give mothers and daughters the opportunity to strengthen their bonds?
Yeah, sure. Well, it came at a time of, let's say, disruption where I was not feeling particularly valued or felt like I was making a big enough impact in my community. And I just said, how can I make a difference? Because at that time I was reading a lot of Oprah, and Oprah is like my unofficial mentor, as she is for a lot of people. But it was just like, the question was, find a problem and solve it. And literally, I just kind of listened to that in my heart. And out of the pain, I think, of not having really dealt with some of the issues of my own mother loss, I thought of doing a mother and daughter panel. And so when you think about a panel, you got 5 people talking and there's not much interaction. And as I dug into that a bit further, realizing that adolescent age girls are not going to be interested in people talking at them. So I kind of had to evolve the idea through speaking to a very good friend of mine. She's also a coach and a mentor. And she helped me to make it relatable. And I focused on adolescent age girls because that was the age that I was in when my mother passed away. And then after that meeting, everything just fell into place for what was the mother and daughter empowerment tea. Now it became a tea because girls like to dress up. They're very girly. Tea can be fun. There's all sorts of fun flavors. And spending time with your mom, I infused an activity that will allow moms and daughters to connect and open up. So that's kind of how it was developed into my very first idea. And since then, I've evolved it even further with other sorts of activities to bring mothers and daughters together, but most importantly, make it impactful and meaningful where they can connect and strengthen their bond and not just have an afternoon out. So that's kind of how it started. And it's getting better every day, really.
I love how you did the whole tea thing, because with my mom, we always talk about different teas and I find new ones. I'm like, try this one.
Yeah, it's good.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's a fun connection point or conversation started when you can have something that you're both interested in and you can both relate to. That allows our guard to come down, and that allows us to open up a bit more and talk. And I think that we as moms, it's easy for us to think that, our children understand us or we're relatable to them because they're our daughters. And so a part of my mission is to help highlight the fact that just like you need to work towards any other relationship, you need to work with your mother-daughter relationship. It is organic, yes. And you do have the final say until they're adults, yes. But if you want to have a meaningful relationship, one where you're not just on the hamster wheels and you're going in the day-to-day motions, you need to be intentional. And that's really what it's about and what I try to encourage and instill in moms as they go along their mother-daughter journey. And also it's been a wonderful reminder for me to pour into my daughter and my son and remember the things that I didn't have. So when I do events and when I make those social media posts and when I talk to moms, I'm also talking to myself, which is, it's great. And it's been healing for me. It's been a wonderful healing journey, I'd say.
Now, you mentioned that you're a boy mom as well. Do you see yourself expanding and doing something for those mothers that have sons?
I don't have any vision for it at the moment. When God drops it in my spirit, of course I'll run with it. But there is one thing that I would like to introduce, and that is speaking to fathers, single fathers of adolescent age girls. Again, playing on my own experience in life. I think there is a lot of room there to help provide insight to fathers who may be going through this journey alone. And a lot of the young girls out there have mentors, they have female relatives who have stepped up, and that's wonderful. And I'm so thankful for that. There are some who don't. But even with that, fathers are in the homes with the daughters themselves. They're helping put them through school themselves. They're the emotional support system. And through my own experience, when you don't empower yourself to understand how to raise an adolescent age girl, you can imagine some of the challenges that you can face with that. Emotional, physical, spiritual, it all goes hand in hand. And I would like to provide a space to bring single fathers in with their daughters to kind of learn and understand the challenges and the successes that can come from that sort of relationship.
If you have any questions or comments for Antonia, feel free to shoot them. We'll ensure that we ask her before she leaves. Jackie, go ahead with the next question.
What are some of the new and exciting things that you have planned for this year?
Okay, so I have been exploding creatively, and I'm not going to give it all away. I think the primary new one is a physical product, which I'm really excited to roll out for mothers and daughters. And it is, I'm not going to give it away, but it is an opportunity for moms and daughters to bond in this way and have something to remember as an opportunity for them to always be looking to strengthen their bond. You know what I mean? When you look at it, you're going to remember to be intentional. You're going to remember that, I celebrate my daughter, I celebrate my mom, and, we're going to continue to grow and glow together.
Now, Tony, you talked about how your experience growing up, you lost your mom at 12, how that was part of the inspiration for you creating Mothers and Daughters Empowered. But losing your mom at 12, how has that impacted you as a mother now yourself?
Great question. It has made me hyper aware of my mothering, basically. It's times where I have to allow life to happen. And when I say that, I mean there's this term called helicopter mom. And my husband and I joke about this all the time because by definition, I am a helicopter mom. I'm also a worst case scenario thinker. And not that is terribly wrong, but it is a mindset shift that I am working to make. So my biggest fear in life is my children growing up without me, right? It's me walking down the road one day in town and getting run over by a bus. It's honestly that far-fetched. And that sort of thought process can get in the way of them being regular children, climbing on the monkey bars and falling down, or riding their bike and, going down a hill too fast. They don't just fall over. To me, they fall over, they roll, their arms broken and twisted, and then their neck breaks. You know what I mean? It's literally that dramatic. And when I catch myself going down that sort of rabbit hole, I just pause and I let it unfold. And I think I've been doing a lot of reading and a lot of research. And one philosophy is that our children don't make mistakes enough. They don't fail enough. They don't experience disappointment enough. And that can translate from, falling over while you're riding your bike to becoming last in a race to, it can go on and on, like getting bad grades as they go older. And so for me, it's just being aware of some of those beliefs and mindsets that I have that can be transferred to my children, and it may impede them. So that's one area of growth for me. Also allowing my daughter to know without smothering her how much I love her and my son. But I am very affectionate since having lost my mom. Now, my mom and my dad were both very affectionate people, adventurous, fun-loving. I remember them always being with us growing up. We had fun together. And because of that, I am a very affectionate person. And, I tell my daughter and my son tons of times how much I love them. Maybe while I'm reading to them, it will be like 5 times before they go to sleep. You know what I mean? And while that might be now, I don't want that to smother them, basically, because it could happen. I don't think there's any such thing as too much love, but if you do it to a point where it's no longer tolerable, I think, and it loses its meaning and value, that could be a challenge for you.
From you're a mom of girl and boy. I have 2 boys. What do you think, in your experience, is the difference between parenting a boy versus parenting a girl?
We're easier. What do you mean? Sorry.
No, you're different.
Yeah, it is absolutely different. Because my kids are still young. I am right now the biggest difference, the personalities. Because my son is younger than my daughter, he is adapting some of her personality, the thing that she displays, the behaviors that she displays. But they were polar opposites from the beginning. Like, my daughter did not want to sleep. She did not want to nap. My son came out like straight napping. And to this day, he naps. He acts like a teenage boy when he wakes up. It's so funny. Like, he's miserable. It takes some time to wake up. My daughter, on the other hand, will wake up and be like, "Good morning, mommy." And I just think that's also because of how I was to her. But there is the notion that girls are meant to be playing in the house with dolls, and they're meant to be prissy, and they're not supposed to be hanging off the monkey bars, whereas boys are allowed, it's socially acceptable for them to just climb up on the highest part of the playground and look over and be like, "Look, mommy, look at me." But if it was a daughter, it would be like, "Get down now, like, you shouldn't be up there." So the difference with that, I think it's time for us to kind of rewrite that narrative and allow our girls to explore and experience life like we would a boy. And so raising the both of them, it allows me to give them like that equal playing field, because my son's old enough to play with my daughter. And when we go to playgrounds, for example, they both want to do the same thing. I mean, he's not quite old enough to climb to the top of the monkey bars, so to speak, but just the underlying concept of that allows me to be intentional about allowing that to happen. That was a mouthful.
That's perfect. COVID has impacted all of us in one way or another. Has it impacted, have you been able to have any events since the pandemic broke out, either in person or virtually?
Well, yes, I'm very fortunate. God's divine timing, I will say that. So the first official event was the Mothers and Daughters Empowerment Tea, and it will be an annual event. And that's, let's say that's my signature event. And that was revealed in February of last year. It was a sold out event. I'm thankful and proud to be able to say that. I hosted over 150 mothers and daughters for an afternoon of bonding. And that had about three 4 different breakout sessions, one specifically for the girls. I'm an advocate for self-love, and I believe that it needs to be instilled, ingrained, like entrenched into our girls from a very young age. When I was coming about, it wasn't really, it wasn't popular. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't talked about in our schools, in our homes. It wasn't acceptable. But now it is like people see that it is so important and a key ingredient to our girls' self-esteem and success in life. So with everything I do, there will be an element of self-love habits and principles. There was also the 2 breakout sessions for mom and daughter was what I call artistic whispers, and that is connecting and bonding through the arts. And in this particular event, it was through painting. So together, mom and daughter, and we had a few trios as well. So 1 mom with 2 daughters, they had to together paint hands that evolved into a tree. And my own personal touch, because with everything I do, there's an element of education and bond strengthening. So they had to talk about what they believe that their key relationship characteristics should be. Like if it's trust or commitment, it may be openness, all the things that are personal to your own mother-daughter relationship. Separate from that, another breakout session was through what I call the wellness studio. And that was where moms and daughters got to work out together and understand the nutritional components and habits that are needed to maintain a healthy relationship. Because we all know that if your body, is not operating at optimal level, how can you emotionally be available for others, including your daughter? So that was an important component. And then new for the moms was what I call purple table talk. And that is just a play on the red table talk with Jada Pinkett Smith and Willow and her granny. And that was just for the moms. And they got to talk about, all things daughters and some of the challenges that they were facing, some of the successes, and an opportunity for them to vent, and feel. And the biggest takeaway from that was all of the moms said, man, I'm so glad to know that I wasn't alone. So that was the first event, right? I came out swinging and I was like, if I'm going to do something, it's going to be big. And it really was. And I'm grateful for that. Throughout the year, as COVID happened, to be honest, I went in a slump. I was affected emotionally, being home with the family and work from home. It was a lot, as it was a lot for, many people. And some people thrived. And I looked at those people and I was like, dang. But, it was a lesson on comparison. Like, don't ever compare yourself because it'll just take you down that rabbit hole. So I cooled off and I wasn't very present. And I did a lot of reflecting and let's say surviving and not thriving, if we're being honest. And then towards the later part of the year, I kind of just got my mojo back. It was just like, bam. And then it clicked and I knew I wanted to do, I wanted to be more available on social media. I wanted to be more present for our young girls. And the first event that I had, which was in person, and I kept it small so that it could be in person. It was the time where we had the 40-person limit. And that was a goal setting experience for mothers and daughters, because I think a lot of the time people say that at the beginning of the year is when you should be doing your goal setting. I actually think goals should be reviewed quarterly, if not monthly. Like you can have higher level goals, but always make sure you review them and come back to them so that you can grow, you can remove, you can add, you can kind of celebrate your successes. You completed that goal and you should celebrate it. So that event was for adolescent age girls again. And it was wonderful. I had about 40 mothers and daughters to keep it, under the limit. And the promotions of that one was great. And I had a lot of moms come to me and say, what about my 6-year-old? What about my 8-year-old? I wanted to do this, but, it was for 10 and up. And so, I was like, okay, Lord, if you have something for me, let me know. And that's when the hula hoop fusion idea came. And that was a phenomenal day. The biggest lesson I believe that I was able to gain from those 3 events is that obviously depending on the age range, I would always make it relatable to the developmental stage of the girls. And the hula hoop one, while my goal is to always encourage and inspire and teach, right? I don't want to just be an afternoon out. Like I said, it's always uninterrupted bonding time. Sometimes mothers and daughters just need a day out. You know what I mean? Yeah. They just need the time to be away without, I had implemented like 3 talking points, which was communication, trust, and self-love. And I wrote out a nice little script and I put it on the hula hoops, and they had to go and grab one and kind of like infuse that discussion into the afternoon. When I tell you, I maybe had like 5 moms pick a discussion card. And so, to me, that said, everyone said they had a wonderful time and it was a great bonding experience. But to me, that said, okay, not every event may be, this deep sort of connecting moment. And that's okay, because we have to learn and we have to evolve with what our audience wants. It has been extremely gratifying and, again, healing for me to go through this process. Last year was just the start, and I'm looking forward to what 2021 will bring.
And beyond and beyond. We have a question from the audience. Laki says, do you have any plans for speaking to young girls who have lost their moms and being a role model, or give them some hope?
I would absolutely love to do that. Yes. I haven't. I guess, part of being a budding entrepreneur is really understanding what your audience wants. And right now I am speaking from a perspective of what I didn't get. And it happens to be aligned with what I believe my audience is looking for, which is great. So as I continue to speak to moms and gain more insight and understanding of what they really need, absolutely, I would love to speak to young girls. Whether that's one-on-one or in a group session, I'm totally open to it. I'm all for it. It hasn't happened just yet, but I absolutely would do it.
It's coming. Jody Virgil says, what an amazing opportunity you're creating. Love the idea of allowing for a quote, failure to strengthen self, end quote, and working to remove gender stereotypes. Thank you, Antonia. Got some Neil Williams, great work, Antonia. Terry says quarterly goal review is key, unless you're talking about Jamal's budget. Says, what part has your husband played in your venture? I pray for your continued success and growth.
Great question. Thank you, Sean. My husband has been instrumental with my growth. He has been through it all. So I have a very unique story, and honestly, we don't have enough time to go into it, but my mom came from London, and basically when she passed away, everything about my maternal side passed away with her. So my husband had to deal with things like identity issues. We got married 8 years ago. And in a moment of transparency, that's still very young. I was 26. At 26, you don't know yourself yet, right? Sometimes at 55, you don't know yourself. And my husband has been there with me to help unveil and uncover the challenges that mother loss has given to me and the impact thereof. I literally have uncovered all of that with him, from anger to levels of depression to uncontrollable sobbing in the middle of the night. When I was pregnant, my second child was born. There are certain transitions in life that will inevitably bring out things that you did not get over, nor did you try and work through. So from his support, to just his mere presence, to his encouragement, it has been instrumental. I would not be able to do this without him. Let's say that. His pep talks are the best. They're so affirming for me. Even, last night, he reminds me that, you were made to do this. Look at what you're creating. Go out there and shine. Like all of those things that you just need to hear.
There we go.
Look at that big smile.
Capri says, I love the maid mission. Building mother-daughter relationships are so important, especially today. Antonia, before we let you go, is there anything you want to leave the audience with, mothers and daughters that may want to get in touch with you? How can they get in touch with you and grow with you?
Yes, thank you. I am on social media, both Instagram and Facebook. Facebook is Mothers and Daughters Empowered. Instagram is M as in mother, N, the letter N, D as in daughter, empowered. And I have a website. It's mndempowered.com. And if you have any further questions or would like, to meet up for coffee or tea, I'd totally be open to that. One of my main purposes for the enterprise is to help mothers specifically, because I talk to the mothers a lot more than I do to the young girls right now, but that will change and evolve, is that it's presence over perfection. I think we as moms have this tendency to have on this cape and be this superwoman sort of hero that everybody talks about because we can do it all and be all. But at the same time, when we are in that sort of state, like that wheel that keeps turning in life, it's so easy for us to be mentally and emotionally absent while we're physically present. From little things to speaking with your daughter about having your phone in your hand because you just have to respond to that person that messaged you, to, reading a book and your daughter's talking to you, but instead of looking at her, you're just looking at your book and talking to her. So presence is really the game changer here. And I'm an advocate for that as opposed to what you're doing right or wrong as a mother. I will never tell you how to mother or how to parent. I will always encourage you to kind of remember the intentionality of being present with your daughter or your son and in your relationship.
Antonia,
over perfection.
Thank you so much for having this conversation. We appreciate it. And I hope that people out there are encouraged, inspired, motivated to get in touch with you, to grow with you.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, guys. It was a pleasure.
No problem.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thanks again to Antonia. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back, give a recap, do some daily feud with these two crazy people, and then send you off for the weekend.
Bermuda, do you know the difference between internet and Wi-Fi? Don't worry, neither did I. Let me break it down to you. Internet is delivered to your modem, which then has to push the Wi-Fi signal into the rest of your home. Do you find that the further you're away from your modem, the weaker your Wi-Fi signal gets? That's because Bermuda's homes are built hurricane tough. It's really difficult for that Wi-Fi signal to reach every room. But you're in luck. Our One Home Wi-Fi solution guarantees Wi-Fi coverage in and around your home with the help of our Eero devices. Plug in the Eero around your home and it will create a mesh Wi-Fi network in every room. Check us out at One today to sign up and make sure you can stream, work, and play from every corner of your home.
I just want to welcome back. Thanks again to our partners and our audience, as well as everyone that trusts our platform, because I really want to, I thank people all the time for coming on, but I really, really want to thank Antonia and especially her husband, Lloyd, as well, because I reached out to him to get in contact with her. And when she spoke about him supporting her, it's just amazing the bond that is gives to something like this. But I also want to touch on something that when we began this show in May, last year, May,
Jeez, that sounds weird.
From then to now, I hope that anyone who's followed this show can really truly see the amount of people in Bermuda we have that offer so many different things that can empower, motivate, and we can help one another, lean on one another. Talented, especially, and I'm just gonna say it, Black women. We have a lot of talent in Bermuda. So I really am appreciative of people trusting this platform to have a certain level of conversation on a regular basis. But Before we go, let me just get you guys' feedback on today. But if you enjoyed that conversation with Antonia, because you enjoyed it, let's show us some love. Like the post, thumbs up on YouTube, retweet it, like it. What's your thoughts in short, Carla, on today's episode?
Well, I know Antonia on a deeper level, and to see her from a child into this woman and mom and this beautiful venture, I just absolutely rate it, and I wish it all the success.
Anything, Jackie?
So Antonia's daughter actually comes to tennis. Oh. So her talking about, different things that, Layla does. I'm sitting here like, yup, that is so true. But having a bond with my mother, it gives me a different respect for Antonia to have gone through what she's going through, because I don't know the person I would be without my mom. So for her to be such a community in, what's the word I'm looking for?
My vocabulary is not that deep.
To be somebody that is so deep in the community to try and make it better after what she's going through, trying to put her experiences into that. It's beautiful. I love it.
It is.
And if she wants to do anything, I'm not sure if Lloyd's still watching or anybody's still watching, but if they want to do anything with tennis or they need any help with anything else, I absolutely will be involved. Absolutely. I may not be a mother, but I'm an aunt, I'm a godma, and I put everything in the children today.
We are a community, so we're definitely always going to use what we can to help one another. All right, so we're going to have quick daily play time, and then we'll let Carla give us some inspiration for the weekend before we let everyone go off and do their thing. So daily feud today, number one answers only. Audience, they need your help. They need. Yeah, all right, pretty good. Here's the first one. Name a person you don't necessarily like but are obligated to get along with.
Sibling.
Co-worker.
Those were 3 and 4. What's the number one answer?
Your mother-in-law or father-in-law.
It says in-law, but that's number 1. I'll give it to you, but I'm gonna say I don't think I have those issues with mine. So that's the first one. All right. Oh boy, here we go. I don't look at these. I should start screening them. Name something a wife asks her husband to pick up on his way home from work.
Dinner.
I can't say my answer.
That's 3.
Feminine products.
That's 4.
The kids. You forgot the kids.
They ain't even on here.
Good reason. You understand that. Number 1. You said dinner.
Pick me up. Can you pick me up on your way from her?
You're not gonna get this.
I'm not married.
Wait. I'm not married either, but we figure it out real quick. Let me see.
Get in a relationship.
Milk.
Yes, number 1.
We win. What do we win?
Last one. All right. Name a reason that you should get this with V's, Carla. Name a reason kids give for not finishing their dinner.
I'm not hungry.
That's 2.
It's leftovers from yesterday.
No, what you said.
That's number 1 right there. I don't like it.
That's number 3.
I had a big lunch.
I don't want to.
8 big lunch is 5. That's the last. Number 1 answer. One more go.
Why they don't eat their dinner? They're tired. They want to go sleep.
Name a reason kids give for not finishing their dinner.
They're thirsty.
You ready?
They're saving room for dessert.
They're full.
It's the same as saying I don't want anymore. I said that, Jamal. Look at the
That's the same thing. It's just more words.
It is. I said it earlier. I don't want anymore.
That's not the same.
Just use more words. Yes, it is. It's just more words.
I don't.
Just beat around the bush.
No. Being full means you legit can't eat anymore.
Okay.
All right. So
I forgot my childhood.
2 of 3, folks. 2 of 3. Okay.
I was always hungry, so I ate.
We need some motivation. Give it to us.
Sometimes you will never know the value of a moment until it becomes a memory. Dr. Seuss.
There we go. Jackie, 10 seconds. Any final thoughts?
Yes, I'm back in the gym, guys. So encourage me, send me DMs to say you can do this because I am so sore. I don't even know how I'm sitting in place. My legs hurt.
Carla, what you got for them?
I can't wait till the summer so I can see Lloyd and Antonia because I beat them up every time on family night at games. I am the cup champion, Lloyd, from 2016. You can.
I'm your date. I'm coming.
All right, got to get out of here. Thanks again to our partners, Medical Health, One Communications, and Linda's, for ensuring that we're able to do this with you. As always, we appreciate you. We love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you on Monday. Carla Zul, Jackie Lambert, I'm Jamel Hartman. Folks, make it a good day and a wonderful weekend.